say from...
Turn off your cellular so that if anyone calls you, it'll stop the video.
Yes, I'm
Yeah, so I put mine on there. There's only like a drop of coffee in there.
I've been saving my
What is the name of this episode even? I don't remember.
Isn't it Detour?
We should like write them down.
Yeah.
We did write it down.
No, but
Yeah,
out
it's
here,
Detour. It's
like, you
Detour.
can see.
It's Detour.
Oh,
Is it really a detour?
Yeah, it's Detour.
it's a detour. Well, that makes sense. Because we be lost. We be lost half the time.
Yeah.
Remember that my English is not very good looking, but I am very glad to say that. Enjoy the show.
Alright, so that being said, this is episode 2 of GPS Guide People Self. Yeah, we here and lost like we usually are, but we made it. So shouts out to us, shouts out to y'all for listening. Yeah. Alright. Sway, why don't you lead us in the opening prayer? I think Rigo, you did it last time, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna toss it your way.
We on the spot like that.
Yeah.
He always does. That's what he's good at.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, I would like to thank you for allowing us to be here today together. May this be something that everybody needs and everybody looks forward to. May we continue to grow in our faith throughout these hard times and just continue to just stay united instead of divided. And with that, I'd like to pray. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
We were kind of joking, but we're kind of serious. Like, we be lost. I know I be lost half the time. Like, that's why, like, last time when we had the meeting, she was like, hey, Brandon, write it down. And then I wrote it down, and I still forgot. Like, that's But if you could think, like, back in your life, specifically, like, we were talking about our journey in the first episode and kind of, like, how we got here. What was a place, like, you took a detour, and, like, what did that look like for you? Like, you got off track, and, yeah.
Which time?
Yeah.
Heidi's head tails.
I would definitely say college, in a way. But also, like, I was still around, but I wasn't, like, I was physically present, but not spiritually or mentally present.
Ooh, that's, yeah.
And so, like, I went through a really hard time in college when, like, 3 of my family members died in the span of a month and a half. And instead of, like, well, not instead, but in the beginning, it was a lot of, like, my friends saying, like, oh, come out, we'll cheer you up, like, come out, let's go to the club, and, like, doing mindless things that, like, for no reason. It wasn't making me feel better. It was distracting me, but it wasn't making me feel better. And it was hard because the first one was my great-grandmother, and my mom wasn't able to go. It was in DR. And they were looking to me as if I was my mom and, like, asking me to make all these big decisions for the family, asking me to spend all this money that wasn't even my money to spend. And I had to, like, make quick, like, it was quick, 1, 2, 3, from 1 minute to the next decisions. And I wasn't okay with that. I wasn't prepared for that. My mom didn't prepare me for that. So, and it wasn't like I could just call her because I didn't have no service out there, nothing. So it kind of forced me to grow up in a way. And then the third one was one of my uncles out here in Long Island, and that was another thing. You know, his wife didn't speak English, and I had to do a lot of the funeral stuff. And, like, what 20-year-old wants to do that? What 20-year-old is prepared to do that, you know? So my friends were like, yo, you're stressed. Like, come, I got a bottle for you. Come, like, let's hang out with the guys. And it was so bad and, like, so detrimental. Like, it was a setback. It was a really big setback in my faith.
So what turned that around?
Honestly, jornada. When I wasn't going to group and stuff, I think I had a position that year on, like, Base or something. And somebody, like, forced me to go to group in a way, or I think we had a meeting and they were like, you have to come, and I was like, yo, I'm really not with it, whatever. But then they were all like, you know, there's been a lot going on, like, are you okay? And I think it was Miguel. Like, actually, no, I'm not.
Yeah, crying in the river. What did they talk about last episode? Oh, crying in the ocean or something?
Drowning.
No, we was talking about like.
You gotta be submerged.
No, but remember they was talking about.
You on the island and
We
you're
were
in the
crying in the water so that it wouldn't look like we're
Can't
crying.
tell.
Yeah.
Crying
There you
in
go.
the river.
Now it's your turn to cry.
But yeah, that really, really like
That's
helped
hard.
to bring me back.
That's hard, yo.
And I would say like the friendships that I've made here are the things that kept me afloat. Because not knocking the friendships that I've made like with my college friends and stuff like that, but it's not the same. You know, they're not spiritually where I'm at. And like this is a place that fosters that and grows that relationship. Yeah.
I mean, since apparently once again we're going around.
Going in
a
order, ladies
circle,
first again.
Do my ladies run it?
No, I think definitely.
Go first next time.
Definitely, I think college was what did it for me, but for different reasons. I went away to college, so I wasn't home, which gave me the freedom to kind of do whatever I want. Not that I didn't have freedom before, but you know, I was here a lot more often when I was at home, and then going away to college and kind of being away from everyone was like, whatever. And then, again, God with his sense of humor, I was working here on the weekends. So I would come Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. I would open up for you guys to go to group, and I'd go home. Like, I wouldn't even participate in the group. I would be here Saturdays. We would close right as 5:30 Mass was going to start, and I'd jump in my car, and I'd go home. Like, I didn't come to Mass. I didn't participate in anything, which was kind of crazy being that I worked here. But at that moment in my life, I was going through so much with, like what we were talking about earlier with Soraya, going through so much with, you know, relationships at the time, and even school itself. School was really, really stressful. And then trying to balance being away, but still being present, and like having the freedom, but not the freedom because I still like respected my parents. So like I was in school and you would see all these girls like getting drunk, passing out. We had kids that were passing out like on the lawn because they had never like gone out drinking before and stuff like that. So like, and I mean, I was raised differently, so like my dad prepared me for these things before going out to the real
Shout
world.
out to your dad.
Yeah, my pops is cool. But trying not to be like those people and still trying to be myself, even though I felt so lost. And honestly, I think the turning point for me, it was a long time, because even after I finished college, I didn't come back right away. It was when I started working here again that I realized what I was actually missing, and then I was like, no, like I need to come back. It doesn't matter whether I'm working here. Like I'm working here, but I'm coming to Mass, and not coming to Mass because I work here, but because I actually want to participate in Mass. And I think with everything going on now, I think that's kind of like the little things that are hitting us now, because it's not so much that we work here so we have to be here. It's like we actually want to be here. Like it doesn't seem like work for us. So when I was packing up my stuff, I was like, yo, I really feel like I'm getting evicted here, because like I can't like be here, you know. And I want and I want to be here, you know. I want to participate in Mass. I want to be around, you know, the kids, even though they drive me crazy 90% of the time. I miss it now that I don't have it, you know. So it wasn't until I started working here that I got dragged back in. So
yeah, that's an interesting point. I realized this in my life. Sometimes when you have the responsibility of something, it like when you feel responsible for another person, God works through that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, y'all, detour times. Let's just switch it up. Go ahead, Josue. You go.
Yeah, you go.
Outside, inside, outside,
Get a
inside.
Josue.
him on the spot today.
No, I mean,
That's crazy. I'm thinking my story.
Josue's the shady one over here.
my bad.
I think one time, I would say in high school and last year as well. High school more so like you're getting into that environment, and like if you knew me, I was kind of like shy and like this did more so, and like So like talking about faith and everything was kind of like taboo in school. Like it was like you stepping on toes.
Not
so
cool.
Kind of like at first I was like kind of like but then like after a while like I started like there was even a time when I used to come to mass and I'll just sit there and just be like, I'm just in mass. Like, all right, now I'm not in mass. I'm in church. Like, there's a difference between being in mass and being in church. You could be inside the church building, but doesn't mean that you're participating in the mass. Oh, yeah. So I used to just go to church with my family because that's what they made me do. And so like I wouldn't participate. I'll just sit there. And so like it came to a point like I was just like look to see when to stand up, when to kneel. Like I didn't know myself when to do those things. And then now it's crazy because like I used to look at the people in the front, and now I'm one of those people in the front that is like kind of like telling you when to stand, what to say, like because some people don't know, like so
you have those that be like, oh, now?
Oh, everybody doing that now?
Catholic aerobics time.
Come on, guys. Remember, use those legs. Use your hips.
Sit, stand, kneel. I know.
Mass can be a workout.
And then last year, my dog died, and I had him for like 4 years, and he died of cancer. So like we had to put him to sleep.
Dogs get cancer.
Yes, they do.
They get it bad and they like quick.
Yeah. So he had cancer, and we had to put him to sleep. And like I was just like, I never cry. And Heidi saw like the whole car ride. Heidi took me and my mom, and like
that was hard.
Like,
that was really hard.
I didn't care. I was just crying in front of everybody. Like it was just difficult, and like I was going to school and working, so it was just like one thing after another. And you, like sometimes life just feels like you can't catch up to where you need to be at. So it was just like too much. And then we went to this zone visit that we had, and that's when I caught up. That's when I was able to grieve. That's when I was able to just like break down and just let it out, because like it touched me in a way that I knew like this is what I really needed, even though I didn't think I needed it. So that's when I became more present again in my faith.
Makes sense.
Real quick, that whole flashing thing, that was the Lord clapping like, yes, tell your story, bro. That's why I talk it. Tell them how I am alive. I guess for me it's kind of like the opposite of what you guys said, right? So while I was here, you start going through the motions of why you're here. And physically, I was in the building, but spiritually, I was like, this is so boring, right? And I remember, I think I was talking to a priest, and I was like, you ever just go outside and like, you look at the sky and it's beautiful, you're looking at the sunset, looking at buildings, and it all looks gray. I remember eating, at this time in my life, I was eating food. I'm like, why doesn't this food have any taste? Like, I was going through a weird moment in my life, like, everything was bland. And I kept coming here, and I was in the building of God, and I was praying, and there was just like nothing. I'm like, okay, there's nothing. And that was in the period where I was just from high school to college. And maybe in my second year, I was going through a real tough time. And a friend told me, literally, I didn't know this. Well, he's a friend now, but he was sitting in front of me. He turns around. He goes, yo, you're going to join the acting club today. See you at 3 p.m. And he turns back around in the middle of like psychology class. And I'm like, who is you? Like, what you yo, I don't even know your name. But he turned around and he told me that, right? And then 5 minutes later, I leave, and I had a friend that worked in the office downstairs named Christian. And he was like, yo, so we having tryouts today for acting club, so come through. And I'm like, okay. And then there was I went to another thing, and some Juanadista girl that went to my school, she's like, oh yeah, I'm part of acting. I'm like, yo, that's like 3 times in 10 minutes that someone's telling me to do acting. So I was like, let me just go. And when I went, I met my college friends, and it kind of helped me find who I was trying to be, because you know when you're going into college and you're ending high school, you're trying to find yourself. And it's weird because like only 2 of them were Catholic out of a group of 10 of us, right? But they wanted to know about me, and they were so open to learning everything. They were like, yo, what is your faith, bro? What do you believe in? How do we get here? Blah, blah, blah. And I guess me talking about it was like, wow, I became so grateful for where I came from. And they telling me about their lives, and out of that group, right, there's a core 4 of us, right? One of us is Hindu, one of us is he's Christian, he doesn't really have a thing, and then one of us is like a really big Christian, I forgot what, Christian. And I don't know what.
He was like one of them creepy Christians? You
No.
Jesus loves you.
Express your faith in a way that is impactful and non-creepy.
Excuse me, Jesus died for you. Would you like to come to church with me?
She's kind of like, no, she's not one of those. But they were just talking with them and you know, just trying to get us, you know, we went to Hillsong a couple of times to listen to different music, just listen to different cultures, and they got me a better understanding of where I come from. And it's funny because the one that's not the religious out of all three of us, he's a really big gym freak. Shout out to Keyshawn. He's a really big gym guy. And he says, I remember him telling me, like, you know, bro, sometimes when you get yourself in a regimen, like you're working out, you're trying to get brolic, it hurts. And sometimes you're working out and you feel nothing after the workout. Word. And I'm like, okay. He's like, that's because your body's so used to it that it does nothing for you anymore. That's when you have to up it up. That's when you have to add the extra 5 push-ups. You got to add an extra lap. You got to add the extra, whatever it is, you got to add it, right? So maybe in life, you got to add something different. You got to spice up your workout a little bit, which religious, you never know. And I remember him telling me that, and I was like, yo, my bro is like, that was deep. And I was like, how am I gonna? It's like, I don't even work out, bro, but that like touched me, right?
Progressive overload. For the people that actually listen, that's the actual term, progressive overload.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Whatever Brandon said.
Whatever that is. Anyway, so I started trying to do a little bit extra. Right? I started trying to change my attitude towards how I view things. So I tried to change my religious workout, if you call it, trying to add the extra prayer, trying to add that alone time. And then it all changed for me pretty much in September. I got a job working at Catholic school. And we had mass every day. So I was going to mass 6 days a week, right? And I remember being so excited, like, yo, that's something new. Like, I'm going to, like, overshock my system to the point with Jesus Christ. Like, this is a blessing. And my mom was looking at me like, yo, for real? Like, 6 days a week and you hype about that? Like, we Catholic, we love mass, but 6 days a week, you telling me you're going to... And that has been a whole blessing. Just 40 minutes a day, just getting to, and now that I went from having 6 days a week to 0, and I'm like, yo, I gotta work out somehow. I gotta work out. That's what I gotta do something, yo. And then that's why I'm glad we made this, because I'm like, yo, at least for those 40 minutes, I'm working out some form of my spiritual life.
You gonna have the YouTube masses on loop, bro.
No, I mean, it's interesting that you say that, because I know you and I've known you pretty much your whole life. And knowing that you started college so young, you know, like we're talking about like
the way he started
when we were in college, we're talking about we were 19, 20, 21 years old talking about it, and Rico was a lot younger.
I was like, like 15, 16 almost, starting college. So
I also think it was a rough transition for him because he didn't have a senior year.
Yeah.
I didn't have a summer because I went from school September to literally the next almost August.
Rico skipped.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
So, you know, having that conversation so early on where we were like late bloomers to this conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so for me, it's weird because, like, you know, most people that, like, okay, most people, quote unquote, outside the faith, they tell, like, their testimony, and it's like, I was here and it was horrible and it was dark. And then I went to this event, this retreat, heard this song, something happened, and then it's like, oh, like overnight. It always feels like that. Like for me, it feels like, I explain it like it's like a video game. You know, like there's different levels and checkpoints and boss levels and you know what I'm saying? Like, and so like for me, even like thinking of the Detour thing, like, you know how like in certain video games they have like hidden or like other, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can go back and play the level a different way, you know, and get to
got the
like,
side quest.
There you go.
Got that
See,
side
you got the terminology from me.
Got that side quest, yo.
I feel like we gotta up our game.
So like for me,
got that secret block at Mario that you hit it a magical coin.
Yeah.
Oh, he went into the two to get the extra coins. I felt that, bro.
Exactly.
I felt that.
Nah, so what you were just saying, it was interesting you saying that. Like, so for me, the thing is, I don't want to say I hated Catholics, but like, it was whack to me. Like, yo, y'all suck. You know what I'm saying? Like, what made me Catholic was everybody who wasn't Catholic. I'm being real. Like,
damn,
like
that's deep.
Like, so the thing that like attracted me to it was, so, quote unquote, like, okay, yeah, we're Catholic. get your sacraments, not even receive them. Like, I didn't even choose a confirmation saint. It was like we had to wear these robes, and like, he's not even my cousin, but you know how like you grow up with people and they're like, they're your cousin.
Well,
Hispanic. That's how that does.
Okay, so
we're brother and sister, so I don't know what that.
So my quote cousin had like, I forgot what saint he had on his thing. And they were like, oh, yeah, he did it last year. We ain't paying for that robe. That's your saint. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So this is the
Mad
Bronx.
Latino.
That's disrespectful, yo.
And so I had no
We're
clue
gonna
what
have
was
no
going on.
viewers from the Bronx because you keep saying all stuff about the Bronx. We're solely inclusive of you Bronx people, by the way. You Bronxians, anyway.
From the Bronx.
But if it wasn't for the Bronx,
Uptown, baby.
Uptown, baby.
I don't know.
So like for me, all of that was like I didn't choose any of that. So fast forward, I'm a teen. I started going to youth group just to get a place to chill, get free pizza. You know what I'm saying? I went on retreats because it was a weekend away. Had no, you know what I'm saying? That's it. And because sister, the nun who was in charge, she got some people to donate and pay for us because otherwise we ain't had no money to go to this retreat all the way far. You know what I'm saying? And so, but there was little seeds planted. It wasn't until afterwards. So my senior year of high school was my high school girlfriend got pregnant. So my son was born, 18, like that October, right afterwards. In this weird moment, the sister who was in charge asked me to help out. At the same time, like this all simultaneously happened at the same time. I split with my son's mom. I started dating a Hindu girl. I'm dead serious. Like, one of my closest friends at the time, he was the youth minister at a church that was Pentecostal, kind of turning into non-denominational, you know? And I worked at another job, like the after school thing, where one of the guys there, he considers himself interspiritual, and so he has a long, crazy story, but he literally studied every major world religion, like, and not like read a book, like he literally lived in the Buddhist monastery at one point, like moved and like studied everything from indigenous African traditions. All
He went to India for the month.
Yeah,
to like,
all of that stuff.
And immerse himself.
Mind you, he's a black dude from Washington, D.C. You know what I'm saying?
Yo!
So, he was starting this thing called, he would do these circle sessions where he'd bring people with different faiths together. And like, I started helping him out, going to that stuff. In me talking with him, I learned more about the Catholic Church than I did talking to most Catholics I did. Because when he would talk about things like, in the ritual you do this, it would be like, it would make me question things about liturgy. Like, oh, like that's why the structure is here. You know what I'm saying? In like dating a Hindu girl that like she would fast for certain things and all, I was like, oh, well, that's the reason for the, and I was able to apply the knowledge and like on my own. Then I started like kind of researching, and then like I said, I had the dude who's the Pentecostal dude. Like I loved worship music. He like put me on the Christian hip hop. That's when I decided to say like, oh, I'm gonna be a Catholic hip hop artist because I realized nobody was doing it on that side, you know. And it's like, they would seem like detour moments, but actually like they formed my faith in so many other ways. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And so like I got mad moments like that, like God, you just like jump through loopholes to get to me because I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm extra.
You know how we all have a path that we think is a straight line? Sometimes people's paths is
I don't think
ups
any
and
of
down.
ours has ever been a straight line.
People
like,
assume that's gonna be a straight line. Nah, man. Like if you walk down Lancer Avenue as a straight line, but there's mad potholes in there, there's mad turns.
Honestly, though, that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Like, think about like all the things you've gone through. Like I would never be who I am today without half of these things.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be as resilient as I am without half of these things.
People be like, if I could go back in the past, I'll change that. And I'm like, you do realize if you change one single thing about your life, you right now will not exist because therefore your whole entity to what you are.
Yeah, everything
is
changes.
gone.
Yeah, facts.
No, I think it's funny because you and I have had these conversations outside where we're always trying to find new ways to like evangelize people. Because I think one of the biggest issues with our faith is that we all end up going through the motions, right? So we have parents that come to baptize their kids, not so much because they're practicing Catholics, but because they were baptized. It's tradition.
Do you have a relationship with Jesus first? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't care. I'm gonna say it on the podcast. I've said this to priests before. Like, like,
Disclaimer.
They talk about going to mass. Oh, but the kids go to mass.
This is the
Hold
part
up,
that maybe
time out.
edit it.
You have a relationship with Jesus first. Once you have a relationship with Jesus, then you want the mass because you understand and you go deeper. You know what I'm saying?
That's allowed. Okay.
Even if you think about it, the apostles didn't have mass till 3 years in. Last Supper happened they were able to eat with him every day, but like they didn't have Eucharist till the day before he died.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like I don't know. I think it's like kind of unrealistic. We have to like engage people in that. Like we got to go out in those places that are like underneath and in the pothole or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think a lot of it is about the way that we teach, and like I think a lot of it, like when kids are developing, that's the time to teach them right, because I know maybe Regal was in my age group at that time, but we used to go to mass as a class, and we had Father Alexis, who would literally sit there and explain everything he was doing and why he was doing it.
Yes.
He would give us a tour of the church and tell us, this is why that's there. This is why we believe in this.
So you guys remember when we would do Friday night adorations, he used to make us sing Ubicaritas until we got it right. Like, he would not let us leave until we memorized the song and sang it correctly.
I remember.
And at that moment, we were just like, oh my God, again with this song. But now as we're older, it's like, these are the things that we look back and appreciate, and these are the things that we try to apply. Like, especially here in the program. Like, when we were growing up, some of the catechists weren't as active. I mean, some of them were, but some of the materials weren't relayed in a way that we would actually remember now. And unless you continued formation, whether it was in the youth group or studying or whatever, you kind of just grasped what you needed to get the classes done for the sacrament, and you never got anything more than that. So if you were one of those that didn't go to the youth group to continue something or anything, like, you didn't get any more knowledge, or you weren't evangelized, you were just sacramentalized, like Brandon always says, and
Catechized, not evangelized.
It was a
sacramentalized is another way.
I don't know those are weird words, but you're making them real words right now.
No, so and I think that this is a conversation that we're constantly having, is just trying to get the information out there, reteach the parents so that it's no longer a tradition, but it's something like, this is what we believe in, this is what's real, this is what our faith is about, so that they don't grow up confused, and not knowing what's actually going on, and they can actually defend their faith, especially in a time like this where it's crucial.
I got so much to say, but I'm going to save it for some episodes.
What do you see?
All right, look, so I'm going to do this for me. Look, so I'm a big art person, and I think it's part of the reason why, like, you were saying this before when we was meeting, I was like, I could kind of connect Jesus to, like, anything. Yo, Father was in my class, like, and he was so, did I tell y'all this? So we were teaching the 8th graders. We were teaching it, and he was like, all right, you take over this one. I'm like, all right, cool, and I put it together, right? And he was sitting on the side, like,
he was so confused.
And he was like, after the class, he was like, yo, I should trust you more. Like, he was like, there's only 5-10 minutes. Like, where is he going with all this? And he was like, and then all of a sudden in the end, it just all came together. He was like, oh.
He was like the kids.
I think he was more than the kids, more shocked than the kids were.
Just the way my brain works all around. So, all right, so look, I'm going to pass this picture. Actually, this is a set of 4 different pictures by particular artists. Y'all just jump in. They were made as a set to go together, but they actually are individual. So what do y'all think when y'all
I just saw that, and it made me think of rock, paper, scissors. I don't know why.
All right.
I always start.
Yeah.
Start over there.
Okay.
Yeah, start that way.
Yeah, I'll pull it up on the screen.
Rico takes the whole thing. Put it on the table so
Oh,
both of
I'm
y'all
trying
can
to
look
see.
at
I'm
it.
sorry.
So what do you see? What do you think of? What do you think
I gotta
the artist
analyze it. I'm sorry.
intention
Second
was?
box, I think of the see no evils, say no evils, hear no
Yeah,
evil.
Yeah.
I see that,
And then you got somebody putting somebody in a machine. I don't know what's going on there, but I guess the blue guy, it's a red guy. And the yellow guy, I don't know.
That's the picture we're going to start using for her tales. You know what I'm saying? That's the fight at Applebee's.
Fight at Applebee's. Like,
So this is what happened.
What had happened was.
I guess it's really like, maybe it's like we're trying to computerize everything a little bit too much, and we're kind of distancing ourselves. So that's the cut from humanity, in a sense, because if you think about it, like
You say this as we're going through social distancing, and everything has now been broadcast through live stream.
I mean, please, social distance yourself. Well, that's social. Physically distance yourself, but doesn't mean that you can't still outreach to others. This is like the time is most crucial. You see, boom.
Yeah.
But like, if you think about it, we're just really like, before this whole crisis, everybody was just about their own lives and like didn't really have that kind of deep connection that we used to have. So it's just, that's kind of what I get.
Okay.
Can we see that over here?
That was like, wow.
Here we go.
I think
I know you're bugging when you think I can see that.
I think for me, what I see is that if you look in the first picture, right, he's pulling somebody. He's either pulling somebody in the machine or pulling somebody out of the machine. I think he's pulling somebody out of the machine, right? And then you have mad of the same people, right? So I think it's like you try to make yourself one way so you could have friends, right? You try to make yourself like everybody else. You try to format yourself, like I could use that little computer language, to be like everybody else, right? And really, you're just cutting your own ties with yourself, right? That's the whole cutting one, right? And then in the end, that guy's looking like, yo, where everybody go? Are you really real? Like, you know how they say only real ones stay? He's looking for the other realest person in the room, but since everyone was being fake and trying to format themselves one way, they wasn't being themselves. So really, he's all alone because he's like, yo, like no one's.
Oh wait, the guy hiding behind the machine? You talking about him?
Wait, what? The yellow one looking for people. He's like, where you at? He's like, where you at? Like, he's hiding behind the machine. I thought he was looking.
I thought that's what you were saying.
Coronavirus!
No, he's looking around like, where y'all at? Like, where all the real ones at? They ain't no real ones because they're all trying to be fake.
I don't know. I'm looking at this and I keep seeing like it going in different patterns. Like it could go this way, it could go this way. I feel like they're all together, right? And then they start pulling this one out, and then someone cut his tie. So now the yellow guy, you see, because if you look at it, this is yellow, and then now he's by himself. So I feel like they cut him out of whatever they're doing over here. You see, and then they were all together, and now they're not. So
symbolizes clicks, yo. When you try to kick someone out your clique,
somebody been a little bit too toxic.
Yeah. I thought the shady newscast was later on.
I don't even know what to make of this. I just feel like
you are artists and you can't.
And you know what's crazy? Like I studied Keith Haring for a bit. I don't remember nothing from college. Let's be real.
You went to college?
College was a waste of time.
Hashtag college was really a waste of time.
Shout out to let me not before we get sued, and I can't afford that.
Anyway.
You still gotta go to college though.
Yeah, please go to school.
Get your degree.
Get your papers.
You can forget everything later.
Get your papers. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Get your degree.
Conversation. On the Latino show. Get your papers. Hold up. Wait a minute.
No, that's a different way. Sweetie, you don't gotta go to college for that.
This might have to be edited.
This might be edited. You know what? Leave it in there.
All right.
We have to put like the only disclaimer after like every episode, or even before every episode.
Just not.
Because these views are our own. Messed up.
This is not an effective views of the Catholic Church, nor the Church of St. Michael Samaliki. I have a speech impediment. Get over it.
All right. So boom. All right, so this is what I'm thinking.
She's not very good looking.
She's not very good looking. Celia, okay. So I think the red guy is pulling out the blue guy, right, from the machine. This is the factory of basic people, right? So he got the basic guy out, and then here they're all like being basic together, right?
So they partying here?
They partying,
okay,
right? But like Josue said, the hear, see, say no evil, right? So,
no snitching. No snitching.
No snitching, right? Do y'all see how the yellow guy got his hands over his mouth, right? Clearly, he didn't stick to the code, and he says something. So they cut him.
Brandon's like, are we looking at the same picture?
Cut him out the group?
You see, no, they cut him.
Oh.
Do you see the scissors? That is a physical cut.
Show them.
This happened in East New York. That's
Heidi's hotel.
Applebee's.
He got shake.
I'm gonna cut him.
Done with the story, bro. So then, right after this guy got cut, he went to the hospital, coronavirus, whatever.
Coronavirus.
So he comes back, and he's like, "Where my basic friends at?" And you see how the background is blue and the floor is red. They were hiding in plain sight.
Interesting.
So Brandon, you want to actually explain what's going on here?
So the reason why I picked this one first actually is because there aren't that many explanations of it. And so Keith Haring, pop art, a lot of it is all about the expression, right? So this one is literally titled like "Hear No Evil" or something like that, whatever. So like everybody kind of like picked that up. But Keith Haring is known for like using basic primary colors. Pop art in general is known for that, right? So like, whereas like the fine arts is all about the technique and all about how perfect you can make it and everything, pop art is really so much about like just like free expression and kind of like sharing out a thought. So honestly, it could be a lot of what y'all said. You know what I'm saying? I've personally never read a good description for these particular. Matter of fact, if y'all have, like, comment that, send that back to us. You know what I'm saying?
What y'all think?
So wait, what do you see?
So what I see, honestly, it's interesting thinking about it in the time frame because it was done at the end of '80. I think this was done in '89, right?
The AIDS epidemic, bro.
It's
I thought it was
he came to
heroin.
New York City, and like. I think it's a lot of what we're talking about, the machines taking over. There's a big transition culturally of people and what they're doing. In a sense, they're already, because of media, there is social distancing already happening. You know what I'm saying? Like families not being together, whatever. And I think that's part of the reason for the hear no, see no, speak no evil kind of thing. Like we just we cut each other off in many ways. And we're looking for each other. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what I see. What I think.
You ever seen the movie The Matrix?
Yeah.
So is this like the inner matrix, like the matrix of your mind type, John?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, you're in your own matrix. You got to get yourself out of there, or you put yourself in there. I don't know what you're trying to say.
Yo, I read this
I think
book.
it could be both. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you, I read this book for a class, right? Forced to read it, and it was crazy. It was by Neil Postman. That man's name will follow my life forever because that was literally the hardest class I've ever taken. You can take it as stat.
Neil Postman.
Oh my God! What?
What?
Say it with your chest.
I said Neil Postman. I'm just whispering it.
He's haunting you.
Anyway,
But anyway, continue.
So, this man was writing about the revolution of the TV, and like socialnomics was another thing, and how like that's going to become our currency, and how people are going to become so like tuned into the TV that they're not going to know what anything means, and that's so true. Like
Plato's Cave, yeah.
Yeah, like think about it. Look at Rigo.
I'm so beyond. Like, what are these words coming out of your mouth?
Do y'all know Plato's Cave?
No, I'm a scientist. No, I don't know nothing about art.
Rigo started school really early.
That's like, you need that for science.
He's like,
it has to do with what's that? Not reasoning.
No, so basically the story it's a story about
logic.
it's a bunch of dudes that are like they're like tied up inside of a cave,
How is he so
and people
dumb?
like there's a light above their head and they put shadows on the wall, and they think that the shadows, because they lived there their whole life, those shadows are real.
Because all they can see is the shadow.
Yeah. And then one day, one of the guards feels bad, cuts the dude loose, lets him see that everything is fake or whatever the case is. And the guy tries to go back and tell everybody, and they try to kill him because, you know what I'm saying?
They think he's crazy because he's like, yo.
I'm pretty sure there's mad movies about that. Like,
it plays into a lot of things. In fact, it's Matrix. It's all of those
Yeah,
things.
I'm
It's
pretty
it's like
that's also
the
like
ancient Greek version.
That's
of
also
it.
like a M. Night Shyamalan movie. I'm pretty sure. Like,
It is a basic.
never heard of it.
It's
I
actually
learned
called
something
Plato's
today.
allegory of the cave, but
Yes, the allegory
people just
of
call
the
it
cave.
yeah.
I learned something today.
That's philosophy. I took philosophy 3 times because it was that hard for me. Because literally, I literally had Rigo's reaction every class. I'm like, what? It wasn't real?
We're making you think you on something when you're in philosophy. Like,
Yo, honestly,
Oh.
We didn't sanitize before the show. We didn't show our viewers that we sanitized our hands.
All right, so we can finish.
How about this? We do it now. We edit it.
Group sanitize.
Oh, that would have been so bad.
Sanitize with water.
Brandon, you got some?
I'll do it again. I don't care.
We interrupt that show.
Sanitize.
Please be safe.
I gotta cut.
It smells like Fruit Loops today.
We all smell
It does a little
It has
bit.
vitamin E and aloe in it, so.
Damn,
It does smell like Fruit Loops.
Look, boys.
Oh, jeepers.
Fruity golden bars.
Oh, boy, they smell fruity good.
So, apparently I say "Hey love" a lot. So like when I say hi to
everybody.
people, everyone is like "Hey love." Why you gotta say it like that?
Because that's how you say
I'm
it.
just going through your texts with that right now, but the amount of times you start off, hey, love.
No,
so.
I think it's like "Hi Rigo."
Wow, you're the only one that don't get that.
You can know.
Back to "Hey love." And everyone always says I'm like the mom of the group, so I'm always like worried about family and like telling everyone to bundle up, even though I don't do it and all this other stuff. So, apparently my segment is "Hey Love," and we're talking about family and just things that are going on in general. So, with that being said, since we haven't really discussed this at all, let's just go around and like talk about our family dynamic. Like, who's in our family? Who do we consider family? Because everyone around here is related to me, and you know, because it's the Latino way. So, who wants to start?
Yeah.
And I'll finish.
What's first? Or you just start?
Simple with it.
So I have my mom, my dad, my younger brother, and then 2 older brothers, and then last year I got my sister-in-law. So,
You also have a dog.
oh yeah, and then my son Benji. He's a puppy. He's a dog.
My son.
Not a father.
Let me clarify that.
What else?
Hashtag, listen, pets are more important than people sometimes. Just say.
Amen to that.
Yo.
Do we have to sanitize?
We just said it right.
You are allergic to the dog that lives in your house.
I don't live with her. I don't live with her.
They don't live there anymore.
I don't live there anymore. I kicked them out.
Okay.
Oh, God.
So Rigo, tell us your life.
Hold on, let me just
Hey,
sanitize
it's
first.
Franklin.
Hey, it's Franklin. Coming over to play.
Yeah, so so you start out there.
turtle?
I've had a pet turtle since I was 3 years old.
I love that show.
I've had a pet turtle.
Such a good show.
It was such an underrated show. So I had a pet turtle since I was 3 years old. I'm currently 22, so my pet turtle is 19 years old.
Whoa.
It's my mom, my grandparents, my grandma and grandpa, my grandma who I call Mamita. Shout out to Mamita.
We love you.
She annoys me, yo.
No, she spoils you.
She does. Anyway, point.
She does.
She does. My mom and my little sister. So there's 5 humans and 1 turtle. And then my sister has a dog named Kiwi, who Vanessa's mom graciously.
No, not H.I. Kiwi. It's.
Oh, I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Y'all just trying to say his whole house infected.
No. Kiwi, who was born in Puerto Rico, who was Vanessa's mom graciously transferred.
Listen,
brought
that
to us.
dog kept my mom alive.
Yeah,
okay?
your mom was dying from some type of disease, some deep jungle stuff, and that dog kept her alive. So
Okay, let me rewind because that sounded terrible. Okay, my mother was in Puerto Rico over 4th of July weekend, and it was crazy packed over there. And she ordered food and she took it to go, and they stopped at the beach on the way home, and she left her food in the car, and then later ate it. So she ended up getting salmonella poisoning without knowing what the hell she had. So she had to stop at Rigo's grandpa's house to get the dog. And that dog is what kept her alive because she was like, I gotta get this dog to Sarina. Like, and that was
the dog was only like 2 months old.
Yeah.
It was like literally the size of like my cell phone almost.
Yeah,
like
she
mad
was really,
tiny.
really tiny. And my mom, you know, you don't go to a doctor in Puerto Rico, nonetheless a hospital. In Puerto Rico, you have to bring your own sheets to the hospital. Like, that's how crazy it is. So you ain't going
This was
nowhere.
This was like a year, 2 years after the whole Maria thing too. So we're still in the process of rebuilding
half
everything.
of our hospitals aren't even, because we live on the other side of the island where no tourists really go.
Yeah.
So nothing was working. So she literally hauled it all the way back to New York, and her flight got delayed like 8 times. So she was supposed to get here, and she had the dog. So that's what my mother had. You know, you can't say things like that in the middle of coronavirus. Like, coronavirus!
That's why I said some deep jungle. We're not talking about some deep jungle.
It was salmonella poisoning.
It was something from the movie Outbreak. Like, it started with her. No, but shout out to Barbara.
Again, my friends, this is a scientist.
FBI would have came in.
Yeah. Quarantine my mama. She probably would have liked it.
So that's my biological family. As far as family, similar to Vanessa said. Everyone I grew up with from back in the day. So, even Brandon here, new to the clique.
New to the fam.
You know, Heidi, Rosa, all them. All them, Lauren. Yeah.
Can't do that while I'm drinking.
I hate y'all. Yeah, so they all family to me. I know if I could count on you, like if I'm in a bind and I know I could call you up and you be there in a heartbeat, you family to me.
Word.
I just think about that one time I called you at 3 a.m. to go fix a lot.
I know, bro. I thought about it too, and what really gets me so mad is that time
you gave it to me.
No, I didn't even think. It was just like Rigo called and he's like, "Yo, bro, this is not working. I don't know how to use technology." And I was like, I was sleeping.
I'll be right there.
I had work at like 8 a.m. and I was like, bet. I was like scrambling for my sneakers. And then
She probably drove to you sleeping.
Yeah,
like
when I got to the car, I was like, where am I going? Wait, why? And I was like, Rigo. But I went. Whatever.
That's love.
Gotcha. Me. Okay, so this is weird, right? So I'm my wife, my kids, you know what I'm saying? My son, my daughter. My mom, my sister, my parents, I think I said this before, were divorced, but they're there, you know what I'm saying? My mom's, my pops is a character, just to say the least. You know what I'm saying? My pops is a conspiracy theorist, so like I was talking to him about this. My pops don't trust anyone or anything, so
he the type to be like, yo, Vietnam was all a ploy to get money and stuff like that.
He the type to be like everything, like they're watching you through your phone right now, which they probably are. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
yeah, and so like all that type of stuff. So my grandparents, like I grew up with my grandparents a lot. It's like every summer we'll go down to Florida, like be with them a lot, and so my grandfather's a big influence. But then I'm also like, this is probably the Latino part of me. Like I grew up with that. Like mad people are my family that aren't even really my family. Like one of them, like someone I consider like a titi, right? Lourdes. Like she just was my mom's best friend since middle school, and I never knew that they weren't actually sisters for a long time. Like I didn't realize that until I was older.
That's crazy. You feel betrayed when that happens.
When you find out the truth.
Yeah. Then like my mom's like close friends from high school. There's a whole like crew of them. Like they were like titis to me. And then like one of their husbands, Alex, was my godfather, which is interesting because you know like you don't realize the purpose of what your godfather really is. Like as a guide in faith, it's just like it's supposed to be like that I don't know, male figure that you're supposed to look up to.
Parent.
Yeah, that thought, right? Yeah. But he really was that, like in many ways. Like even when my parents split, like I remember there was a time he pulled me aside and all that type of stuff. Yeah, I don't know, mad people. Like yeah, that's kind of the way I grew up. So, yeah.
Migo? Okay.
Migos.
Migo.
So Migo. I currently live
Not to say it worked.
with my parents. Why y'all laughing?
Whispering into the mic.
Migos. What's that?
I know, because I said Migo and y'all like Migos. Okay. Offset. Okay.
entire thing.
I forgot where I was for a second.
Yeah.
Alright, so boom. I live with my parents, my mom, my dad. I have one brother. I live with him and his wife. I don't know their relationship. Okay. Anyway, and then my brother has a bird. named Cookie, who's really annoying. But yeah, besides that, that's like my family that I live with. They're cool, I guess, sometimes. This little lockdown thing, it's not
Trying times, bro.
There's just some times where I'm like, I need a minute, and I just sit in my car.
Is either the coronavirus going to take them out or I'm going to take them out?
To be honest. And it's just like, I'm really trying to practice patience. But yeah, I didn't really, like every Latino kid, like I didn't get the luxury of growing up, like having my grandparents at my side. And that's something that kind of like I miss out on a lot.
Do you want mamita? I get $5. $5 on a roll of toilet paper. Yo, this is toilet paper. You can have it, bro.
But yeah, so like
tight.
the only one was really my grandfather, and I was the favorite for mad long. He would bring me stuff from DR. So they all live in DR, which was the thing. So he would bring me stuff from DR. He would always cook for me. He would bring me candy every 5 seconds. So he was really like my favorite grandparent, and like my mom hated him. Everybody was so annoyed by him, but I was the favorite. So we were chilling. But
Not your brother?
no, David who? Anyway.
I just firstborns are usually like.
Nah, he aight. But yeah, he actually has Alzheimer's now. So it's really like I really feel like I need to see him as much as I can, but I know that like he can't be in New York City. The last time he was here, like he hatched the whole escape plan, and like walked out of my house and ended up in J Street, like on the train and stuff. So it's just like I know like I can't have him, but like I really want to see him. He's somebody that I consider like a big part of my family. Even though like things were rocky, I don't know, I think this is weird with grandparents because things are always rocky with their kids, but once they have grandkids, forget about it. And then I would say like you guys are a really big part of my family. Rigo is a little brother that I never wanted. Like,
but you got stuck with.
Lord of Jesus. But
That was the nicest thing you ever said to me. Like, ever.
Yeah, like I've taken Rigo to meet my coworkers and they all love him, and I'm like, I want to kill him. But yeah, you know the Rosa, those the homies.
Shout out.
Vanessa, on our old campus.
You stalk her, bro. I don't know. Like,
I had everybody convinced. I'm like, that's my cousin. Like, you can't tell me that's not my cousin. That's my cousin.
Our sorority sisters still think we're cousins.
Yeah.
Until they watch this.
Surprise.
Be like, but how is she Puerto Rican? Only
And
Puerto
you're
Rican,
Dominican.
and you're only Dominican.
By
And
marriage.
I'm like,
By marriage, mind your
it
business.
works out.
That's what we are.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, Heidi's followed me her whole life, so you know.
I'm done.
Anyways. All right, so for me, I mean, my family is huge, like huge. It's my parents. I have 3 brothers. I'm the only girl. Then it's Soraya, who's crazy. I don't even know how many cousins I actually have. Like, and this is like actual cousins. I've lost count. And then you throw in the mix I think the last time we counted was like 75 to 100 foster kids that my parents took in over.
Whoa. Wait,
like
what?
from when I was 5 up until I think like high school. My parents took in foster kids, so we had kids that were there for years. So we're talking about like we've had people live with us for like 7-8 years until like they max out of the system. We've had emergency placements, so we have kids only for the weekend. We've had like a range of kids, and thanks to social media, like social media has its perks. I still keep in touch with majority of them. You know, those are all my nieces and nephews, and my sisters and my brothers and stuff like that. So I have a huge extended family that I actually like grew up with, lived with. And then my aunt did the same. She was a foster parent too. So my aunt used to come. She lived in upstate, and she used to come down from upstate and drop off her kids and then her foster kids. And then it was us four, and
That was
then all the
daycare
other
center.
kids. Yeah. So like my mom used to like we had a Suburban for a reason, right? And it was just like a tuck and roll. Like I remember for my cousin's 316, we had a practice, and my mom was the only adult there. My dad was stuck at work. You know, typical correction officer, law enforcement life. So he was stuck at work, and my aunt was out and about, and my mom had to shove like 20 of us in a Suburban. And it was one of those, the hatchback, so like the top came down and the glass closed. And it was like kind of holding, you were holding the top. Like, you know when you're trying to shove things in your closet and without it coming off the thing, that you're like pushing it and like closing the door fast? Like that's how we were with the kids. Like my mom was like holding this and like shutting the thing down fast so that we wouldn't roll out. That sums up my life. Yeah. But you know,
I'm
now
just curious when y'all opened the door, y'all just felt like, oh!
Well, we were ready. We were prepared to roll out. You know.
Getting stopped. Excuse me, miss, you dropped a couple kids.
You rolled down the window
That's
in,
why
the
we
kids just
always
start
had
falling
like
out.
tinted windows so that you couldn't see how many kids you had in there. But like growing up like that makes me feel bad, like for my daughter. You know what I mean? Because now it's her. My brothers don't have kids. You know. Most of like the kids that I grew up with, they don't live in the area anymore, and stuff like that. So like when I find my mom friends, I'm like, hey guys, like Soraya, go play with them. Like,
socialize.
go play now, quick before they leave. You know, but it's hard. Like I miss, and I feel like that's something like that we talk about with social media and the changes. Like when we were kids, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I know definitely me and Brandon. We played outside, you know. Well, I don't know. Yeah, kind of
Overprotective
young,
mom. I didn't get to do that. Sorry.
Girl.
We used to go play manhunt in Howard. In Highland Park. On snow days, we used to play like two-man touch, but it ended up being tackle football.
Yo, you ever play with bean shooters? I've asked this from people from different neighborhoods.
Huh?
Bean shooters. Because I feel like I realize only
like that's
certain
a Bronx
neighborhoods
thing?
do it.
What is that, like a rock thrower?
Kind of.
It's like
but you make it.
The bean, the straw, and you go.
So check it. So you like used to get not even these, like you know the quarter waters from the corner store. You cut them off like this, right? You cut a balloon, like a regular balloon, and you put it over it with a rubber band. And then you have like a homemade slingshot, and you would use the hard beans, and we would have like Nerf wars outside the street.
We definitely did that, but we never called it that.
So what I'm hearing is for
your shootout.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is one episode next season 2, we're gonna have little body cameras. We're gonna have a bean shooter.
Yo, let's do that.
Eliminated.
All through the building.
Oh, let's play in the church.
Not in the building.
Me and brother like, no.
You see how quickly we got quiet? Like,
don't get us excommunicated.
Yeah, we still gotta keep our jobs.
Father will come down.
We got kids, bro.
Father will probably play with us.
Let's go play in the garden. There's places to hide.
As long as we clean it up and don't break anything.
God, no, not in the church, not in the church.
Okay, can it be in here?
I'm getting heart palpitations.
Can it be
just
in your
thinking about
classrooms?
it. Yeah, we can do it in my classroom. That's fine.
Break a window. Okay.
Oh my God.
It's beans, not bullets. I'm gonna break a. How's that? I throw a bean at the window right now. Watch it won't break.
We gonna play with
the hard
gandules.
beans. You know the hard beans. Before you put them.
We playing with gandules. We playing with gandules.
Them little beans.
Though we gotta make sure Heidi don't got her glasses too. She be like, I can't see.
She get hit in the back of the dome.
Oh, if y'all break my glasses.
Headshot.
He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready.
So, all right, sorry. I gotta throw this in there. Yesterday was like our first official day of quarantine for us. I was ready to like go crazy.
It's not fair! It's not fair! It's not fair!
I don't know. Between my kid and my grandfather and then my parents, I was like ready to go sign up for the military. Like go send me where. I literally wrote a brother. Okay, so my youngest brother's in boot camp right now. My poor baby.
God bless.
Moment of silence. His graduation's been canceled. We can't see him. Anyway, so I wrote him a letter and I was like, yeah. I was like, bro,
love you, boo.
I envy you right now. Like, I wish I was the one in boot camp because I think I'm going to go crazy. I was like already banging my head against the wall trying to deal with everyone that's in my house. So yeah. Shout
But you
out
know
to
if he
him.
was there,
We miss you.
It would be worse.
it would be worse.
Oh, I wasn't asking him to come home.
Oh,
I was asking to leave. I was like, yo. I was like, hashtag, I'm about to text Manny myself.
Bro, I'm like, yo, I can't.
I was like, I'm about to text Manny myself, his recruiter, my cousin. Yo, I'm signing up too. So just send me somewhere that's not in this house, because I'm gonna go crazy with these people. I love them, but this is gonna be a long quarantine.
I actually put up, if anybody's a fan of Knots, I actually put up a post like, there's a character that kills his entire family, and I'm like, this is about to be me if this keeps going on, yo. Mamita keep making jokes about me, and I'm like,
but we prepared you for this. You used to
your whole life is a joke with us. We love you.
Y'all like shut it down.
Yo, Brandon really be putting his neck on you.
yo, Brandon, I appreciate you, bro.
He really does. He's like,
Brother, come on. You got it already, bro. There's nothing that's going to do for you, even if you hate it.
All right. So to wrap up this podcast, we're actually going to pray this time because we actually ended the last one with the prayer. But this whole thing, I think it's interesting. Family, art, life, things like that. All of it is a part of our path. You know what I'm saying? Even the stuff that seems like it doesn't make sense. Somehow God has his hand in all of it. So, that, hey.
I knew it.
Oh.
Can I pray in a little Spanish?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. En nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo.
Amén.
Gracias, Señor, por traernos aquí hoy. Thank you for blessing our families. Thank you for giving us everything that we need, and even things that we don't need. Thank you for giving us more than we can handle sometimes and making us stronger. Thank you for all the detours in our life, and thank you for the gift of family and art. And with that, we say glory be to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit,
as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
All right, y'all. Deuces.